kind of arranged me to come down to this area and do some talks. And she's part of a group, Interfaith Church. And she asked me if I would want to come down there and talk and maybe hit a few other places. And I said that would be great. In fact, when she mentioned this town, I said, well, I've got a lot of, you know, remembrances to this area because I came here because my guide said you need to go to Joshua Tree, California. And I thought, don't know anything about it, but we came. I think we flew to LA. We were at the Conscious Life Expo.
I didn't remember.
Yeah, and then we jump in a car and we drive out to the middle of nowhere.
Okay.
And we pulled into this Chamber of Commerce at Joshua Tree. Can you all hear me good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just small.
And when we pulled in there, they had one of those brochure things, and all these different things were in there. And I grabbed one of the brochures that had a picture of a weird building. And I didn't know why, but I felt drawn to ask, you know, does anybody know anything about this? And there's a lady working behind the counter, and she said, oh, that's, my sister and I bought this building. And at the time, it wasn't open for anything, we just purchased it. And I said, well, for some reason, you know, I was drawn to pick up this brochure. Is there any way I could get in to see what's in there? And she said, well, gee, you know, I don't know. And I explained where I was from, and sort of guided to come here. And I think this is the place I'm supposed to go see. So she said, you know what, I'll talk to my sister. So she calls her sister and says, yeah, okay, you can come in tomorrow. So we go to the hotel, stay overnight. The next morning, we head up to this place, and she meets us there. And, it's called the Integratron. Does everybody know or heard of that place? So I get into the Integratron, and we heard that it was built by a fellow by the name of George Van Tassel and was connected to UFOs. And I said, oh, well, maybe that's why they wanted me here, because I have an interest in that. And so, you know, after a while, she said, oh, we have this sound chamber room. Would you like to go upstairs? And I said, sure, you know. And in the middle, there's this sound chamber where you stand. And it's so strange. It feels like the voice of God to you. It sounds like, but to everyone else, you can't hear what's going on. You step back a few feet and nothing. It just sounds like your regular voice. And I got the idea. I said, you know, I'm a musician. Would you mind if I ran out to the car and got my acoustic guitar? I was wondering what that would sound like. Oh, she said, lots of musicians come to do that. So I said, great. I got into the sound chamber, and again, my voice sounds like God, but the guitar sounds regular. It does something with voice, but not so much with instruments. And when I got into the middle, I thought, well, you know, I'm going to play a song anyway. So I was going to play something that I thought I knew, but my fingers started doing something else. And I'm going, wow, what's this all about? You know. So I really felt that something activated. And when I started playing this melody, I thought, well, you know, I'm a musician. And, you know, you get this great idea, and it just gone in a fleet. Can't remember what you did, and you think, yesterday, it's a really cool song. Today, I can't remember anything. So I was worried that that was going to happen. But it was quite the opposite when we got back to the hotel that night, and this song was stuck in my head. And I remembered it, so you know, it was just an instrumental. I named it Joshua Tree because of where we're at. And then when I get back home, we go to Minnesota, and the guides are telling me, well, now that you're able to pick up the frequency of an area, you should be able to do this in any town you travel to. So there's a lot of music on the CD, Joshua Tree, so it was named after the first song that came here. But different towns, Palm Springs, Albuquerque, different cities that we travel to, pick up a different frequency, and then I later record it. So it's really, it's hard to describe, but it's healing music with triggers all over the place. In fact, one of the most interesting things about making the CD is when we got through, we were ready to master the CD, and our engineer says, David, I got some bad news. We might have to re-record the whole album. There's these different noises and things all over in there, and we don't know how it got there. And I said, well, let me hear it, let me hear it. So they pick up this spot, and I said, oh gosh, don't erase that. The guide said they were going to put triggers in all over for different things. So what triggers are, they're electrical frequencies that we really can't hear, But when you spread out the file, like on a digi software, you see all these vibrations. And in there, these little ticks and different things all over the place, and you can hear them if you know they're coming. So if you expanded the file and listened, you know, and you'd think they'd interfere with the song, but they're actually triggering all sorts of things. So, you know, I created an album, the first album I ever did for instrumental music, and when we started selling it, we started getting calls back from people and saying my wife has suffered from depression, and you know, I noticed she's better when she listens to music, so I turn it on every day. And I realized that, you know, that for depression and some different things, it does seem to have frequencies that are helping, but then I started getting more people back that say, I listen to this album repeatedly all the time. It's in the top 10 of what I play. So I was really pleased to hear that. So we're no stranger to the Joshua Tree area, but we came out one time and they had a conference called Contact in the Desert, which Mary Electra's been on a lot of times in this area, and last year was the first year they produced this show. And my guides were saying, you know, go, enjoy yourself, and so we came out here and we talked to the store, we put some of the CDs in there, and no one had ever heard of me out here, and it's been on, I guess, Facebook and, you know, the internet for a little while. But, you know, if people don't really know who you are, it's not like they're going to go searching, where's this guy from, that made the Joshua Tree album. If anything, they probably heard of you too, the album Joshua Tree. And I didn't name it after them. I didn't even know there was an album out there at the time called that. So I didn't steal the name, I just used it because it was the starting point of all of this music.